Hi, happy Friday, everyone. We made it. So the jobs reports are in, and this is the one the Fed is really going to focus on, and it came back as a mixed bag. So there was some job creation, but a lot of downward revisions over the last 2 to 3 months. The unemployment rate did tick down, but interestingly, it was all because of part-time workers. So I spoke about the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They come out with a report the first Friday of every month in previous videos, but they reported this morning that there was 142,000 jobs created in the month of August, which was worse than the estimates of 160,000. And the unemployment rate dropped from 4.3 to 4.2%, but let's break down to see why I believe this was a weak report. There was also 86,000 in negative revisions to the previous 2 months. Last month's reading of 114,000 was revised lower 25,000 to 89, and May was revised to 179,000. So that's a total negative revision of 88,000 jobs over the last 2 months going back to June. So if you look here, the birth-death rate model, which I've spoken in the past about, they are saying that we added 100,000 jobs, which I find very hard to believe based on ADP's negative 9,000 report revision yesterday that was. This number will too get revised down, I believe, in the days to come. So if you look here, an increase in government, healthcare, and travel and leisure, I mean, honestly, in my opinion, are not necessarily indicative of what's really happening in the broader economy. A 46,000 increase across leisure and hospitality has a lot to do with this $100,000 birth-death model. If we go to this slide here, kind of looking a snapshot over the last couple months, BLS has revised their original numbers down by a total of 265,000 jobs, that is. And we only have data and revision fully through the month of June, and one for July. So this means that 20% of the jobs just never that they reported this year never actually happened. Clearly, they are still having a problem and are tracking over 700,000 in negative revisions in the months to come. So taking a look at this slide, speaking of the revisions we saw, June, the BLS told us that we created 206,000 jobs right here. Then in July, they revised it down to 179,000. But now they're telling us, oops, it really wasn't 179,000 in June. It was actually 118. And if we take a look at July, it was originally 114. Now it's 89. This is not, I repeat, not a sign of strength in the economy. And not, again, a sign of strength in the labor market. Yesterday, like I mentioned, ADP released its non-farm payroll report, and that too came in very light, further indicating that labor and the labor market is indeed cooling. Jumping ahead here to the household survey. Now, the household survey is something conducted by MBS Highway, and this is where we get that unemployment rate from. It has its own job creation component, and it showed 168,000 jobs gained, and that's because the labor force increased by a lesser amount, 120,000. So the unemployment rate did decline from 4.3 to 4.2, but in our opinion, it's declining for the wrong reasons. So if you take a look at full-time workers, we lost 438,000. All the jobs came from part-time work. 527,000. So unemployment rate declined because a bunch of people who couldn't find full-time work had to settle for part-time. Looking deeper into the 438,000 full-time jobs and gained 527,000 part-time jobs is still very weak. This means the unemployment rate went down because people are working part-time because they could not find full-time work, and it counts them. That's where this U6 unemployment rate comes from. And again, it accounts for the people who would have rather worked full-time and just couldn't find it. So, in my opinion, a truer measure of the labor market, but these people can only find part-time work. As unemployment, the rate went from 7.8 up to 7.9. And that's the highest level since October of 2021. pre-pandemic. So lastly, if I could jump ahead to this slide here, we did have one measure in the report that was actually positive, and that was the hourly and weekly earnings. It rose slightly month over month and year over year from 4.6%, and that's still a modest level, and we've seen that trending lower. So not a sign of strength in my opinion. And according to Realtor.com, active listings are up 33% year over year, but it's important to note with that, it's still 25% below pre-pandemic levels, and that's the lion's share of where inventory is coming from, and they're saying it's coming from the states of like Florida and Texas. What does this mean for mortgage rates at the end of the day? Bottom line, well, after the last 2 days of weak economic data coming out of the labor market, the probability of a 50 basis point cut has drastically increased from 41% from the start of the week and into last week, probably ticking up into the 85% threshold now, in our opinion. So mortgage-backed securities are positive on the day. That's good, and we're going to keep an eye on all of it. So if you're still, lastly but not least, disclaimer, if you're on the fence waiting for the rates to fall or the market to crash, it might not necessarily be the best strategy. Please give me a call today. We can learn more about why now is still the best time to purchase your home, whether you're looking to be a first-time home buyer or moving up. I'm Jerry the Mortgage Guy. So long for now. Ciao.